Hello, everyone. I'm going to share my thoughts on the Big Five, the automatic qualifiers for Eurovision 2024, along with the entry for the host country, who automatically also gets a slot in the final due to winning the previous year. I have covered semifinal 1 and semifinal 2, which, I talk about all of the entries competing and my predictions, what I want to see qualify, what I think will happen. So those videos will be linked in the description. And so now I have to cover the remaining 6 songs of the 37 countries that are competing this year that I have not talked about yet on this channel. So we have the Big Five and the host country. I'm going to be ranking all 6 of these songs in order of preference. So it's going to be more my own personal taste, not so much what I think their placement is going to be in the contest, though I will at the very end talk about a little bit with my predictions of where they might place. Obviously, these songs don't compete in the semis. And of course, if you follow this channel, know that I do not approve of this setup where they get a free pass just because they pay the most money for the contest to be held. I think that, to be more equitable and fair in the spirit of good sportsmanship and what Eurovision was meant to be, it should be about celebrating all of Europe, not just these 5 countries. Even if they foot the bill the most, they don't have to automatically get a spot. I think that that's a bit, that the ego is just too strong there. Although I suppose their argument is that, for example, the UK, if they want viewership in the UK and the broadcasters are always vying to get viewership, people aren't going to tune into the contest if the United Kingdom isn't participating. And same goes for other countries like Germany and Italy and Spain and France. Those are the Big Five. So that's their reasoning. They probably have a point, but my point is also still what I feel, and I always will. But I do think it's totally fair to give the host country, to give the previous year's winner the advantage, the host country, because the contest is being held in Sweden, because last year Sweden won. It's being held in Malmo. I think it makes total sense to give them a free pass just once for this year. So, without much more preamble, let's go through these 6 songs. Which is the worst, in my own personal opinion? Well, if you saw my 36 song ranking video, which I will also link in the description, which is just my ranking of the songs without me talking over it, this one should be no surprise. My bottom place goes to Sweden. Oh, how the tables have turned. Last year, Finland and Sweden were on top of the world with their 2 entries coming in first and second place. And this year, if you watch that video, I can't exactly remember if I put Finland second to last or not. I think I did. Finland and Sweden are now my bottom 2. And of course, Finland will be competing in the semis. Sweden gets a pass. And I despite how much I don't like Sweden's entry, I do believe it is the one entry that deserves a spot in the final. I think the country that is actually hosting the contest should be a guaranteed spot in the final, because it's just like, what are we even doing here? And they get that extra perk for winning. But this song does not deserve to finish on the left-hand side of the scoreboard. And as a matter of fact, I would give it 0 points. From the jury's perspective, I really hope it does not get too many points. Now, from the public, that's going to be harder to quell the interest. I mean, these are 2 hot young Norwegian boys. I do not believe that they are twins, but they certainly could pass as twins. They might be. Let me know in the comments. I'm not interested enough to look it up. But Martinez and Marcus with their song Unstoppable. So yes, these are 2 Norwegians who are competing for Sweden, but this happens all the time, especially since they have been living in Sweden now for the last several years and have been trying to make their music industry debut there. It's not that, we have weirder cross-country representation going on, so I actually don't have a problem with that. But I will say that this song is just absolutely falling flat for me in, the sonic department, in the construction of the song. This is not at all what I find interesting to watch about Eurovision. This is not the kind of music I tune in for. EDM music can be really fun. Dance music, upbeat dance music can be really fun. But this song is really, really lazy. The beat drop is one of the worst beat drops I have ever heard in a Eurovision song in recent memory. It's all of this buildup for something that just does not pay off for me. And then on top of that, the lyrics are so forgettable, so dime a dozen, so you're so boy band singing about a hot girl. I mean, I don't really fault the lyrics for being what they are because I don't really come to a lot of these, especially Scandi pop Swedish, entries for like deep lyricism. So that is kind of just to be expected. But I really wish Sweden would send a song in their own native language. Norway is completely showing them up this year, and it's really disheartening to see. Even Denmark has been doing some interesting things in recent years with some of their entries, but Sweden always plays it safe. They always send the same types of songs, and I would argue that Tattoo is not that revolutionary either. But Tattoo had a little bit more of that star power. It had a much more memorable chorus, a better produced song and package with Lorene's vocals being able to be spotlighted. Unforgettable does nothing for really Martin and Martinez's in showcasing their vocal prowess. I mean, they can do a little bit with the song. Performed live, the big draw is going to be the staging. There's going to be all of this light work. There's going to be all of these interesting camera angles. And that's going to that's going to reel in a lot of viewers, not to mention the appeal of them being these hot, too young, well-styled dudes. Unfortunately, the Gen Z kind of like energy is the TikTok energy is too much to overcome, that it eclipses how hollow and stupid the song is. Um, it's about nothing, and it sounds like nothing. It's in one ear and out the other, and it's very frustratingly basic. It's just there are so many more interesting lanes this song could have gone in that genre of music, and they chose the flattest, most derivative kind of lazy production that they could have thought. And I just really have nothing else more positive to say. This song is just aggravatingly banal. And so I really am not looking forward to seeing it. Gotta be real with you. This is definitely bottom of the pack for me. Unfortunately, I do expect it to do moderately well. It is, the host countries usually have trouble with getting a lot of sympathy because they already won. And so I think Sweden is probably going to get one of their lowest results in the last 5 years, but it still could get on the left side of the scoreboard, and that's still way too high. So I would, any spot higher than like 20, I think is too generous for this song. I'm really not a fan. So at number 5, I would say that the remaining 5 songs I'm going to talk about are leaps and bounds above what Sweden is offering. But number 5 is also borderline. I'm afraid number 5 is going to have to go to Spain with Nebulosa's song Zora. Now, I love seeing an older woman, represent for especially a big 5 country in a fun, kind of campy way that is actually trying to be a little sexy. I really do. I love the overall character of this song and the performance and the performer, but I don't really think it's a winning package. It's not even a middle of the road package. It's not a memorable song. The synth production is a bit dated and tired. It feels a little lackluster. Zora means vixen in Spanish, and we definitely have, a song for all the cougars, the Jennifer Coolidge anthem. She definitely looks a little bit like Jennifer Coolidge. She's got those lips and that blonde hair. Now, I think what, is important to recognize is that the word Zora has a lot of, it's basically the B word in Spanish, or like calling someone a slut. It has a lot of misogynistic connotations. So Nebulosa is trying to reclaim that word. And if you watch the music video, there's actually a lot of references to a famous transgender singer and politician, Manuela Trazoberes, who often got labeled as such. And so she is making points of sort of, subverting this trope. And so I do think there is something interesting happening with this song, but I do think it gets lost, and with how it will be presented on stage, what we've seen at Benidorm so far, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to really translate. But I'm definitely interested to see how the song does. But if it lands in the bottom 5, I think that's totally understandable. It's not exactly undeserving. So I'm afraid I just think because vocally, I don't know if she's not exactly a vocalist. I mean, she's not terrible, but it's not a song and performance style that I think is going to lend itself, at least to juries, I think, being viewed very favorably. So at number 4, we have Germany. And Germany is usually at the bottom of this pack. Usually, every year I talk about the big 5, but this year Germany is perhaps not the worst on offer for a change from this category, from this group. We have Isaac's Always on the Run. Isaac is definitely a vocalist. I think he might have some of the best vocal chops out of any of the big 5. But of course, as you know, a lot of X Factory type vocalist singers do with the big 5 countries in particular in the past, that doesn't necessarily translate to votes, especially from the popular vote. And I don't see this song doing that well. I think it'll have a little bit of the Michael Rice treatment. It'll have somewhat of the not John Newman, Michael Newman. What was the guy who represented for the UK a few years ago? Something Newman. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Not John Newman. It was John Newman's brother. I think he'll have a similar kind of issue, and I think that a lot of people. I mean, look at how people treated Switzerland's entry, "Boys Don't Cry" by Marius Bear. I just don't think people really resonate with particularly a bigger guy having a power vocal, power ballad moment on stage. I don't know if there's gonna be that much interesting going on stage either. It's just gonna be him and a microphone. So this song, I give the jury might wanna give some bones, but I don't exactly see resonating. But I will say personally that, this is totally a middle of the pack song. It's not bad by any means. It's a very safe by the numbers power ballad, but his vocal display is really is impressive. The song does a great job of spotlighting that, and I think the melody is very endearing. So I don't know. I mean, if this song, did kind of well, considering Germany's track record, anything above like spot 23, 22 would be amazing for Germany at this point. Because I think Lord of the Lost were, done a little dirty last year. I was not the biggest Lord of the Lost fan, but I did feel like they deserved to go a little higher than where they placed. And I think that Germany possibly has an even harder chance with Isaac getting any higher than that. So if they couldn't with Lord of the Lost get out of that bottom 20, the bottom couple piece spaces, I'm not entirely sure if this song has any chance either, but we'll see, we'll see. This is definitely Germany's first, I think, real competent male vocal power vocalist since Michael Schulte. So, that definitely did really well. That's Germany's last time ever being on the left-hand side of the scoreboard. That was 6 years ago. So we'll see how this fares. At number 3, it's going to France with Slimane entry Mon Amour, My Love. Anyone who has taken 1 month of French can translate a lot of these lyrics. Je t'aime, je sais pas pourquoi. I love you, I don't know why. It's like the most. I was like, wow, this is a really paint by numbers French lyric here. Allez, reviens à Paris. Come, return to Paris. I mean, I feel like this is like a lot of this. I mean, I have a very bare bones understanding of the French language, and I can read these lyrics and almost entirely translate them without needing a translator, which I guess shows maybe I know more French than I thought I did. But I don't know why I feel like he's not using very complex syntax or vocab in the French language in this song, because almost every single word I know in French, and these are like basic words, basic phrases. I love you, remember me. It's interesting to me, and I will say that I'm a little tired of, particularly from countries like France and Italy. I'm a little tired of these, and I was just talking about Germany. Germany has never had the luck that France and Italy have had by sending vocalists to present ballads. And I think part of it has to do with perhaps the language thing. I think that we respect France and Italy for always sending songs in their own language instead of in English, whereas Germany always sends songs in English. I would love to see Germany sing a song in German, but I don't know when that's ever going to happen. That might be even less likely than Sweden sending a song in Swedish. It just does not happen. I don't think it's happened in the 21st century. Let me know when the last time Germany sent a song in German. I'd be very interested to know that. But we respect Italy and France for, the Barbara Pravis and for the Slimans and the Marco Mengronis way more than we do what Michael Rice was offering, what Tusa was giving us, what Isaac is giving us. And I think that is very interesting. I think that that language shift is just that slight, key there. Because honestly, I don't really think that this song is doing anything more revolutionary than what Isaac is doing or what other, male power balladeers have done like last year with like Water Gun, for example, and Marius Bear's entry. I don't I don't see the difference. This is just a safe Marco Mengoni sounding song. Sounds identical to Italy's entry last year, which by the way, I thought Italy did way better than they deserved to do. I was okay with it, but I was not checking for that song. To be honest with you, I'm kind of feeling bathroom break vibes with this one, but I do think Slimane has a presence on stage that will be very visceral and easy to connect with. And I do think that there'll be some. I think that the performance that he does in front of the Arc de Triomphe. Yeah, I don't know. I expect thoughtful staging, but that elevates this package perhaps more than what Germany will give us. But I'm a little been there, done that with this song. I don't, I mean, I hope that he hits all his notes with the power that he has, and I hope that he has a good night because I think this song definitely is a jury bait, eat it up, bask in the greatness of a great vocalist kind of number, and feel the emotion. And I think that that will be translated because he is a consummate performer as he appears to be. And I definitely think he might also have a little bit more of a visual appeal than Isaac. And I think that's unfortunately due to fat phobia in the community. I'm just going to be completely honest with you. I don't know. People don't connect the same way. And I also get the vibe that Isaac might not worry so much about his styling, whereas Slimane will be wearing something like a trench coat that's very, chic and very fashionable. Um, and again, on bigger people, fashion faux pas are more glaring than they are on people who. It's an unfortunate thing that as a visual part of the contest that is a part of this package, we have to acknowledge. So anyway, I'm rooting for it. I think it could do really well. At one point, people were saying this was a dark horse to win the competition. I don't think that's happening anymore. I think that people think that this is definitely one of the probably highest Big Five scoring countries this year. So they're presuming that it'll do better than the UK. I'm going to talk about the UK now, but I'm not entirely sure about that. But we'll see. I would, if I had to put money on which song will come second out of these six, this one probably has the best shot. I think the UK could go all over the place. Let's talk about the UK. They're my second favorite out of this bunch. Ollie Alexander from Years and Years, an artist I am familiar with. This is kind of a big deal. Eurovision in the UK is starting to try not just old has-beens like, Engelbert Humperdinck and Bonnie Tyler. They're actually trying to recruit young, in the middle of their career artists to represent who are somewhat big names already in the pop world. So that's really exciting. However, I do think Ollie Alexander can do better than this song, but at the same time, I do not think the song is beneath him entirely. I think it's a safe number for him, and I think that it could be delivered really competently and really engagingly on stage. It's definitely a bop. It's just a soft bop. It's not like a hard bop. It's not a song I'm really going to be coming back to too much after the contest is over. Some people don't like the spoken word part. I actually really like that part of the song. It's sort of, I don't know, it adds dynamic to it that I find engaging. We definitely need more energy on stage because that pre-party show was really hard to watch. I could tell he felt very defeated. I mean, obviously, that's not really an indicator of how the performance will really be because there's no real emphasis on choreography in those performances. But, I mean, he's done better performances of this song. I'm hopeful that this comes together. I mean, Mae Muller last year, we were all rooting for her, and I think there's a lot more, there was a lot more fan fervor around Mae Muller's entry last year than Ollie has this year. I think a lot of Ollie's entry is being unfortunately overshadowed by all of the controversy in the Israel-Palestine conflict, and unfortunately, Ollie Alexander is getting the brunt of a lot of, particularly from the UK, activist groups who are calling on him to, to withdraw from the contest because of Israel's participation. They're focusing a lot of their ire on him and not so much at the BBC and other artists competing. And I think that that's a little unfair. I feel like it should be evenly distributed across everywhere. I think it's because he's LGBT and he's from the UK, from London in particular, and has been kind of popular among these circles already. And it's just a firestorm. And I think that you can tell it's really been getting him down. This was supposed to be, a dream come true moment. And some people have always said Eurovision can usually ruin your career more likely than elevate it. I worry that Ollie Alexander's path is, potentially not so safe going forward after this because of the tarnished reputation to a certain degree. But I don't think it'll be that severe. I think that, unfortunately, this contest this year is just mired by such controversy that it's hard for a lot of people to feel as excited as they have in the past. And so that's all I'm going to say on that. I talk way more about that whole controversy and all of that in the semifinal video. So if you're interested in my thoughts on Israel's participation and all of that, watch those. I do not want to make this video any longer and talk about it anymore. I'm over talking about it at this point. That's not to say it's not important to talk about. I'm just saying I've already talked about it a lot. So I hope Ollie's doing okay because he's getting it from all angles. Obviously, the UK is not that, good to their own anyway in terms of Eurovision representation. They treat the contest like it's a joke, which, to a fair degree it might be to some, but it's also a little more, it's not completely a joke, and we shouldn't completely trash our, representative and have them go in with such low morale that it's a self-fulfilling prophecy that, of course, they don't deliver like they could have because their heart and fire is just not in it. So we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. This entry is still not it for me in terms of having any. I'm not that impressed with the Big Five this year. I mean, I never really am, but I feel like at least France or Italy in the past have stood up and really kind of sold us something more interesting. And I feel like this year, only Italy really has a chance. And that's why we're going to talk about the top Big Five plus host song, which is Angelina Mango La Noia, which I believe means the boredom, like the ennui, the boredom. This was an immediate kind of ingrained hit. It has an immediacy to it that I think can't be denied in terms of the girl bops of this contest. From the minute it came out, people were like putting it, the odds really high in Italy's favor for doing well, if not winning. I think I've seen it sort of lower a little bit since I think the discourse around Croatia and Switzerland and still the Netherlands are sort of overtaking the hype that Italy had at the beginning. But I think Italy is still in this race. I think it's, Italy is sort of the fourth best chance of a win here. The song is about breaking free from a life of monotony. Business, they talk about business. Meanwhile, I close my eyes while I sign contracts. And I've been told life is precious. I wear it proudly around my neck. My necklace doesn't have pearls of wisdom. I was given colored beads for the little girls messed up with trauma to untangle slowly with age. Yet I am a pure one. Look, no drama. I almost changed city again, because if I stay where I am, then I get the boredom. I die without dying in these worn out days. I live without suffering. There's no bigger cross, nothing left but to laugh in these burnt out nights. A crown of thorns will be the dress code for my party. Who would have thought that a song that is definitely a summer Love Island, Love Island core tropical bop would have such dark, weighted lyrics beneath. And so I think for the Italian audiences, that'll be a very interesting juxtaposition. For the rest of us, we'll be dancing and singing along to this song, not knowing what the heck we're saying in our, summer dresses and sipping our cocktails without a care in the world, not thinking at all that this song is so heavy. And I think that juxtaposition is very interesting because there's a carefree, jubilant, buoyant energy to the production and her delivery that belies the underneath, frantic anxiety. And I think that anxiety is manifest in how the song comes out like this. And so I'll be really interested to see that push and pull with the kind of inner kind of turmoil matched with the expression of ecstatic, jubilant expression on stage. because she'll be feeling herself and having a good time dancing. I want to see that braidography. It's like a new form of hairography. It's not just hair, but it's braids. The way she almost uses it like a nunchuck. I want to see that, in the way she, in the choreography, because in the music video, the braidography is strong. I love seeing those braids. I don't know if her hair is going to be like that for the final product, but I'm really excited for this one. It's definitely the big five entry that I feel has the most spark and it factor. So we'll see what happens, but I'm predicting a comfortable top 10 result for this one. Unless, the vocals and the syncopation of the camera work and the staging just all kind of falls flat for it. I think this one will have, a good chance. So that's my breakdown of the six automatic qualifying songs. Where would you place them? What are your favorites, least favorites? Do you agree, disagree? Please let me know in the comments. I hope you all have enjoyed this video. Eurovision is only a week away from starting, so that's very exciting. I'm usually better at getting these kinds of videos out earlier, but this year there were other videos I wanted to make first, and there was a lot going on, so they're a little later, but I needed to make sure I got this out as soon as possible. Thank you all so much for watching. Please give a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. For more content, more Eurovision content, I will be covering the entire contest after it all airs. Thank you all so much for watching. Peace, love, and light. Bye.